You know that car that cut you off today on the way to work? You know that person in the grocery store talking on their cell phone so obnoxiously loud that the entire universe can hear their conversation? Well, today, I'm going to encourage you to give those people a gift. Yes, a gift. That's the topic of today's Out of the Box episode. A gift, you say, right? I know, it sounds crazy, but here is the thing. We could all use a little bit more tolerance in this world. Don't you agree? So there's been a time, I know there has been, that you've cut somebody off. It was a complete accident. You weren't doing it to ruin their day. You weren't doing it to be a jerk. You certainly were not doing it to cause an accident. It was a mistake. And maybe the person behind you just sloughed it off and forgave you. Maybe, I'm from Boston, they leaned on the horn, they gave you a beautiful little good morning hand gesture, as we Bostonians are well known to do. Or maybe they spewed some other good morning attributes to you. Here's the thing, it was only a mistake. People do these things all the time, and most times, not always, but most times, they're really not trying to ruin your day. They're really not trying to be a jerk. There's a story I read from Stephen Covey, and he goes into this great detail in his book that talks about him being on a train. There was a gentleman with his two children, and the children were running up and down the car in the subway, and they were being a bit obnoxious. They were being loud, they were being goofy, they were being, young kids. And as Stephen started to recognize the anger, the aggravation, all those emotions coming up, he decided to take it upon himself to mention to the gentleman that his children were being a bit unruly, and maybe he wanted to corral them in a little bit. And as the story goes, the man looked up at him and was very distressed. And he said, "You're right. I'm sorry. I guess it's just been that they've spent the whole last 12 hours at the hospital because their mother was dying, and they were having to sit still for so long, and I was paying no attention to them because I was in such distress. You're right, I should be more concerned." And at that moment, Stephen Covey felt like about this big. I bet you can identify with that. So here's the thing, we have no idea what's going on in someone else's world. And if we could be just a little bit more tolerant, and I don't know what I do, I make up a story. That person that cut me off, you know what? They're probably in a rush to get to a great meeting that has the potential to change their life. Or they are rushing to be with a loved one as they are ill, or anything that makes it that much more important that they accidentally weren't paying attention to me. Now, I know that there are some people being jerks, but you know what? The thing about that is, they're often being jerks because they are in some other type of pain, and they're just trying to share that pain or shed that pain by giving it away. So even the jerks in their jerkiness, are actually needing our tolerance, our compassion, and a bit of empathy. And while you're at it, I betcha you could use just a little bit of that compassion for yourself as well. So that's my unconventional thinking today. Forgive the jerks. Allow them a bit of compassion. And go about your day feeling that much lighter that you didn't take on somebody else's grief, somebody else's anger, or whatever is going on in someone else's life, and that you gave them a little gift. And maybe, just maybe, that made a difference for them. So as usual, I always ask you to share these if you're enjoying them, or if you know somebody who could just use a little bit of unconventional thinking in their life. Please do share, put a little like on there. A comment goes a long way. Happy to keep these coming. Happy to take ideas about what's going on in your life that you would like my unconventional take on. I'd love to hear from you, so please keep those comments coming and share your thoughts and ideas with me. And please do also subscribe, and that way I come to your inbox every week, no fail. So until